Hello and welcome to another live look at some best practices in workforce development. We love to share those unique partnerships that we see developing in our area between higher education and industry, and this is absolutely one of those very unique and innovative program that is fostering talent and is connecting people with in-demand occupations right here in Sioux Falls. It is through SDSU and Capital Services, and Kurt Cogswell, as well as two participants in this fellowship program are with me today. Kurt is the chair of the Department of Mathematics and Statistics at SDSU. And Kurt, I'm going to let you start us off and just talk to us a little bit about this unique program, how it all came to be and how it works.
Well, it started in 2005. Our department decided we need to have a more focused attention paid to career readiness for graduates and more focus paid to general regional relevance of our program. In 2007, Capital CEO Chuck Hendrickson heard about what we were doing, met with me, and decided he wanted to support us financially. So for the first few years, that support was in the form of graduate fellowships that supported financial analytics fellows. And the first two fellows were extremely successful. One is Dr. Alfred Firth, who is now VP of several things at Capital Services, and the other is Dr. Tom Brandenberger, who is a member of our faculty in the statistics program. In 2013, the program grew. Chuck decided it was time to expand that, and he added the first named scholar. Tom Brandenberger became the Capital Services named scholar in analytics, and we created a financial analytics graduate fellowship and an academic analytics graduate fellowship. So we had the two branches of analytics going on. Over the years, that thrived. We had 13 total graduate scholars, graduate fellows produced by the program over those years. They've gone on to be extremely successful. And so recently, Chuck and I met, Chuck Hendrickson, Capital CEO, and decided it was time to expand the program once again. So in 2020, we are adding the Capital Services named scholar in machine learning and artificial intelligence. That will be Dr. Cedric Newman, who is a member of our faculty. And we will create the first graduate fellowship program in machine learning and academic and artificial intelligence. So we'll have two named scholars and three graduate fellowships going simultaneously under this new program that will go forward. Primary ingredients are that there's not rocket science, but it's tough to get people to commit to this. First, you get really smart people to participate, like Valerie and Ryan, who we'll meet in a second. Then the financial support of Capital allows all these people to focus on the task at hand rather than having to work second jobs to support their education. These people work typically, in many cases, they'll work at Capital. Capital provides an outstanding professional development environment for them for a year or two, which gives them the sorts of preparation you just simply cannot obtain in the classroom. And simultaneously, our named scholars and the rest of our faculty provide a really outstanding academic development environment for them. So we've got all the components put together, and it has proven to be tremendous for our department. We believe, based on the results, tremendous for the graduate fellows, and we hope it's been good for the region as well, as these people have gone out and helped to develop the regional economy.
I think it just sounds like a terrific partnership and maybe a little bit under the radar up until now, other than, of course, those of you who have been directly involved in it. We are going to meet those fellows, but first I'm going to have you back up just a little bit if we can, Kurt, and help those of us who are not as familiar with Capital Services understand what they do and how that relates to what you teach at SDSU.
I might actually, Ryan Burton would be an outstanding person to address that. If you're okay, I'll just let him talk about what Capital Services does.
Because Ryan Burton is a former fellow who is now full-time at Capital Services, so we can bring him in. Ryan, I'm going to talk about your career journey too, but can you pick it up where I left off? Maybe first start by explaining what Capital Services does and how those jobs relate to the skills that they're learning in that Department of Math and Statistics.
Yeah, for sure. So Capital Services is a credit card servicing company. So we act on behalf of our client banks to originate new customers and manage those customers throughout the customer life cycle. How it ties into SDSU, within my department, portfolio analytics and risk, we develop predictive models to help make smarter business decisions. So the mathematics and statistics learned at SDSU, the different applied and theoretical courses there are directly relevant to our work that we've deployed.
Got it. Okay. So now tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What led you into this field?
Sure. Yeah, I'm from Yankton, South Dakota, and went to SDSU, not really knowing what to major. I knew I liked mathematics. And then after taking a statistics course from Dr. Tom Brandenberger that Dr. Cogswell mentioned earlier, and then hearing Dr. Cogswell talk about the different opportunities in the mathematics and statistics, I changed my degree to mathematics. And then shortly after that, Dr. Brandenberger introduced me to Capital Services, and I did an internship in 2011. From there, I continued part-time to finish my undergraduate degree, and then they offered the fellowship to get my master's in statistics at SDSU. Through that, that was a great experience working, like Cogswell said, about 20 hours at Capital Services and while going to school. So I was able to take the theoretical knowledge learned in classes and apply it sometimes in the same day at work through Capital Services.
Fantastic. And you've obviously decided to stay there. When did your fellowship actually end and your full-time job begin?
Yeah, in 2012, I graduated from SDSU and then continued full-time at Capital Services as a data scientist. And then in 2018, I became the director of the Portfolio Analytics and Risk Department.
Terrific. Okay, I'm going to come back to you to talk more about your colleagues in this program in a minute, but now I want to bring in Valerie Bares, who is an example of a student who went through the program and now is applying what she learned elsewhere. So Valerie, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do now, and then we'll talk about how you got there.
Perfect. So yes, my name is Valerie Bares. I am originally from Springfield, South Dakota, so didn't grow up too far from Ryan actually. And I graduated with my bachelor's degree in math at SDSU in 2009. And then from there, I didn't know, my story's kind of similar to Ryan's. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I decided to stay in the department and get my master's in statistics. And this fellowship came up and I applied for it and I started that fellowship from 2009 until I graduated in 2011. And then at that point, I was hired on full-time and actually worked at Capital Services for 3 years after that. And then at that point, I decided I wanted to go back to SDSU and get my PhD. And so I did that. So that was my decision to leave Capital and start that program. And then I graduated with my PhD in 2017. And at that point, I had been working with Profile by Stanford, doing my dissertation work. So then at that point, I was able to get a job at Stanford Research as a senior biostatistician. Well, actually, I started as a biostatistician. I'm now a senior biostatistician, and I manage our called Research Design and Biostatistics core at Stanford Research. So we are a service that we provide statistical help to researchers at Stanford Research, as well as physician-initiated research throughout Stanford Health.
That's really an interesting career path. How key do you think that fellowship at Capital Services was to putting you on that path toward what you're doing today?
Yeah, it seems like it's not really a typical path to go from the credit card industry to healthcare, but I really do think that the fellowship, and like Ryan said, it was great to be going through coursework and then have a place to apply it in maybe the same day, where I'm learning stuff, but I'm able to apply what I'm learning. And some of the stuff that I learned at Capital actually does apply to the healthcare system and some of the data that we work with here at Stanford. And it actually, helped me translate different ways to use methods in healthcare, which might not typically be used. but are still applicable. And so I'm able to kind of bring new and innovative ideas on how to analyze data. And as we're able to collect more data in the healthcare industry and anywhere else in the data world, it's really crucial to be able to apply different methods to different problems that come up.
Okay, got it. Professor Cogswell, I'm going to go back to you because it's so interesting to me, the types of careers that students are now finding with this background in math and with the statistics. I'm very intrigued by what you mentioned around machine learning sort of being the next frontier. But are these examples, the positions that Ryan and Valerie have, good ones, showing the sort of career opportunities that are available to students if they come through a program like yours?
Absolutely. And I mentioned early on that we decided to focus on regional relevance of our program. Well, in the state of South Dakota, finance and healthcare are two very key players in our economy. The methods that Ryan and Valerie learned can apply pretty much across the economy. So you see our students taking those same methods and applying them in precision agriculture, or in manufacturing, or in hospitality, or in transportation, or sports analytics, so that the methods are fairly universal. The choice of career is up to the students. So when I learned that Valerie was moving from finance to healthcare, that might have seemed odd to somebody else. To me, it seemed entirely natural. And I expect to see more of that as our graduates move through their career paths. But that the beauty of this method, the machine learning methods that we are developing and instructing our students in, is that they are so directly applicable in so many areas of South Dakota's economy.
Well, I love what they both said about being able to learn something in the morning and immediately apply it in the workplace that day. I mean, that's where I would think a relationship with a company like Capital Services lends so much value to your program and to their experience.
It's invaluable. And Capital's commitment to this and the resources that they have invested in this above and beyond the financial commitment, which has really been substantial over the last 13 years, but the personal commitment they've had and the effort they've invested in developing these graduate fellows has just been remarkable to me. And it's quite altruistic. I mean, many of these people have stayed at Capital and they've done tremendous work there, all the way up to Dr. Alfred Firth. They're one of their senior VP. But there is no expectation that they will stay at Capital. They can complete their fellowship and move on. And for a company to have that truly, that altruistic approach to it is just, I think, extremely admirable.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Ryan, I'm going to go back to you now since we're talking about Capital. Now you're in leadership there, so you're seeing firsthand that talent pipeline and how important it is to have something like this, I would think, to continually be bringing new talent into the organization. What's your perspective on those new fellows and the kind of demand that you're seeing and the opportunities they're getting and the opportunities you're giving as an employer now?
Yeah, so a big part of the fellowship and the other internships that we have, I think that is valuable for everyone involved, is the mentorship. So while people are getting their fellow, being able to talk with professors and have that theoretical mentorship, and then also during my time talking with industry professionals, Dr. Alfred Firth, or even Valerie when we were when I was going through, and she had just completed her fellowship, so she was a good reference to be able to bounce ideas off of. And that collaborative nature of being able to get insight from the university and industry professionals is really beneficial. And it's been fun after I've completed mine to play that role a little bit with some internships and fellowships as well, and see them learn and progress and go on to do other things at Capital or in the industry too, other places.
I'm going to ask now both you and Valerie this because, you know, when we talk about people's career journeys, it's more than just the job, right? We talk about what keeps you here and how you're getting connected to our community. So what does keep you here? What do you like about Sioux Falls? How do you see yourself continuing to grow here and to give back here?
Yeah, so growing up in Yankton, it's nice to be close to family, and Sioux Falls is a good sized city. There's a lot of opportunity, but there's not tons of traffic compared to some other cities. And yeah, just the the culture at SDSU, but then also the Midwest culture is very familiar to me. So I'm happy to stick around.
Valerie, how about you? What do you like about living here? How have you been able to become part of the community above and beyond your job?
Yeah, I agree with Ryan too. I grew up in the Midwest. This has always been my home. Sioux Falls was always it's an hour and a half drive from where I grew up, so it was the big city in my eyes when we were younger and we'd come to Sioux Falls shopping. Now living here, I do appreciate that it's not a big city, but it has everything that we need to, I don't know, to do the shopping and for entertainment wise. Me and my fiance recently moved a little north of Sioux Falls to have a little bit more privacy and move out of the city. So it's nice to have that option too, where we can be out of town a little bit, but still a 10-minute drive to work is still doable, and to be able to do the shopping we need to do and enjoy the entertainment that Sioux Falls offers.
Yep, absolutely. Lots of housing options around here. Professor, I'll come back to you. You know, one of our goals, of course, has been to teach our talent in the region and then to keep them in the region. Do you feel like this relationship with Capital Services has supported that? I mean, are we keeping graduates here who otherwise might have had to look other places to find work?
It's been extremely successful in that regard. We have had a few people go to Minnesota. But for the most part, people have stayed right here in Sioux Falls, in Yankton, in Brookings, in southeast South Dakota by and large. I was a prime example. I grew up in Aberdeen, graduated a long time ago. There was nothing for a person like me to do, so I left the state, always hoping I could come back. Well, I came back 20 years later. I love it here. It's the people, it's the quality of life that keeps me here, but the opportunity to help develop a program that can allow people like Ryan and Valerie to grow up here, be educated here, and stay here as our state's brightest, best young talent, I think is just extremely beneficial. And that's, for me, that's the most personally satisfying part. I hate to see, I love to see our graduates succeed anywhere, but I always kind of hate to see them go off to the coasts. As of the last dozen years, 2/3 of our department's graduates have stayed in South Dakota, which I think is quite remarkable because they have tremendous opportunities across the globe, really.
Yeah, and we need their skills here, so that's great to hear. You know, if we have some prospective students, I have to think this is a nice recruitment tool for you. So if we have some prospective students or maybe some parents who are listening out there who think, hey, this sounds like something I might want to get involved in, is there a way they can learn more about this?
Absolutely. They can, if they visit the SDSU Department of Mathematics and Statistics website, they can find my email address, fire me an email. I would be glad to correspond with them by email, by telephone, by Zoom, whatever the case may be. There's quite a bit of information about the fellowship program and our programs in general on that website, including an extensive array of undergraduate programs and graduate programs.
We will link to that information and the story that goes with this video as well. So look for that if you want an easy way to find out more. Before I let you go, anybody, is there anything else that we would like to include about this program, about your own journeys that I did not let you say here yet? No, silence, anybody? No. Okay. Well, with that, I will just congratulate you on your career success, Valerie and Ryan. It's going to be fun to see what's next for you. Kurt, thank you so much for your leadership in all this and for helping us learn more about the program. And again, if you would like to learn more about the fellowship opportunity between SDSU and Capital Services, just go ahead and look up the story that goes along with this video and you will find a link to that. Thanks very much for watching.